At my routine cardiology appointment, Dr. Christopher Wells set down his clipboard and gave me a look I'd never seen before. His hands were shaking slightly as he pulled up my test results on the computer screen. "Patrick, we need to talk immediately. Your kidney function has dropped 40% since your last physical. This isn't normal aging. I'm Patrick Martinez, 58 years old, and I thought I was just getting my annual heart checkup. I'd been feeling run down lately, blamed it on the stress of selling my construction company and planning early retirement. What Dr. Wells told me next would destroy everything I thought I knew about my life. Patrick, I'm seeing signs of systematic poisoning. The levels of ethylene glycol in your blood are consistent with antifreeze ingestion over several months. This is not accidental." I stared at him, not understanding. "Antifreeze? How is that possible?" "Who has access to your food and drinks?" he asked quietly. "Because someone is trying to harm you. That's when my world started falling apart. See, I'd built Martinez Construction from nothing 25 years ago. Started with a pickup truck and a toolbox, ended up with 28 employees and contracts all over Phoenix. We specialized in custom homes and commercial remodels. I was planning to hand the business over to my son-in-law, Ryan Collins, watch my daughter Jennifer finally have the kids she'd been trying for, and enjoy some golf in my golden years. I'd remarried 18 months ago to Rachel, a sweet Colombian girl who was 28 to my 58. After my first wife died 3 years back from cancer, I thought I'd never find love again. Rachel seemed like a blessing. Young, beautiful, pregnant with my child. She'd moved into my Scottsdale house, took care of me, made my protein shakes every morning before I headed to job sites. "Those damn protein shakes," Dr. Wells continued. "Patrick, you need to stop consuming anything this person gives you immediately. The kidney damage is significant but reversible if we catch it. Now. Without treatment, you'd be looking at complete renal failure within 6 to 8 weeks. Wait," I said, my mind racing. "My wife is 7 months pregnant. Are you saying she's been poisoning me?" "I'm saying someone has been systematically administering antifreeze to you for approximately 16 weeks. The progression is consistent with small daily doses mixed into liquids. 16 weeks. That took me back to November, right around the time Rachel started insisting I drink those protein shakes for my health. To keep you strong for the baby," she'd said. I left that office feeling like I was walking underwater. Drove home to our house in Scottsdale, the one I'd bought for Rachel and our new family. She was in the kitchen, humming and preparing lunch, her hand resting on her round belly. "How was your appointment, honey?" she asked, kissing my cheek. "Doctor say you're healthy as a horse?" I looked into her dark eyes, searching for any sign of deception. Found nothing but apparent concern and love. "Clean. Bill of health," I lied. "Just need to watch my cholesterol a bit." "Good thing I've been making you those healthy shakes then." She smiled, patting my arm. "I'll make you an extra nutritious one tomorrow morning." That night, I lay in bed listening to Rachel's steady breathing, her warm body curled against mine. The woman I'd trusted with my heart, my home, my future, had been slowly killing me for 4 months. The baby she carried, the son I'd been excited to raise, might not even be mine. I thought about Ryan Collins, my 35-year-old business partner and son-in-law. He'd been with Martinez Construction for 8 years, worked his way up from foreman to my right-hand man. When he married my daughter Jennifer 2 years ago, I made him a full partner with plans for him to buy me out completely when I retired. We'd signed the papers just 4 months ago, right around the time the poisoning started. Coincidence? I didn't think so anymore. The next morning, I watched Rachel prepare my protein shake. Vanilla, protein powder, almond milk, banana, honey. She handed it to me with a loving smile. "Drink up, baby. You need your strength." I took the glass, kissed her forehead, and carried it to the bathroom where I poured every drop down the sink. Then I called Stephen Parker, a former Marine buddy who'd gone into private investigation after his military service. If Rachel was really trying to kill me, I needed proof before I could do anything about it. Steve, I need your help with something sensitive. Can we meet today? We met at a coffee shop on Camelback Road, away from our usual spots. I showed him the medical reports, explained the situation with Rachel and the protein shakes. Steve listened without interruption, his weathered face growing harder with each detail. When I finished, he leaned back in his chair. Patrick, this is attempted murder. We need to involve law enforcement immediately. Not yet, I said. I need to know why, and if she's working alone. Steve studied my face. You suspect someone else? Maybe. The timing's too convenient. The poisoning started right when Ryan became my full partner. If something happens to me, Rachel inherits everything, and Ryan inherits my share of the business. Steve nodded grimly. That's a $2.8 million motive between life insurance and business assets. If there's another father involved, this becomes conspiracy to commit murder. The thought hit me like a punch. Can you arrange for a paternity test without her knowing? Yes, but it'll take time to do it right. Meanwhile, you cannot consume anything she gives you. Nothing. How long will this take? 3 weeks? Maybe a month if we want ironclad evidence. Can you keep up the act that long? I thought about going home to Rachel, pretending everything was normal while she continued trying to kill me. Yeah, I said. I can do it. The next 3 weeks were the hardest of my life. Every morning I watched Rachel make those protein shakes with a loving smile. Every morning I found ways to dispose of them without her knowing. Down the sink, out the truck window, into potted plants at job sites. Meanwhile, Steve Parker worked his investigation magic. We start with surveillance, he explained during our second meeting. If Rachel's having an affair, they'll slip up eventually. People always do. He was right. On day 6 of surveillance, Steve called me at the Tempe job site where we were finishing a custom kitchen remodel. Patrick, you need to see this. Can you meet me at the Starbucks on Indian School Road? I found Steve in his Honda Civic, laptop open, showing me photos that made my blood run cold. Rachel's silver Honda Accord in the parking lot of the Hilton Phoenix Resort. Timestamp, 2:15 p.m. yesterday. She told me she had a prenatal appointment, I said quietly. Keep looking. The next photo showed a black F-150 pulling into the same lot. I recognized the truck immediately. Ryan's work vehicle, the one with Martinez Construction logos on the sides. Then came the photos that destroyed me. Rachel and Ryan meeting between their vehicles, his hand on her lower back, her face turned up toward his with obvious intimacy. And then the kiss. Not a friendly peck, but the kind of kiss that spoke of practice, of familiarity, of love. How long have you been watching them? I asked. 6 days. This is their 3rd meeting. Always different hotels, always weekday afternoons when you're at job sites, and Jennifer's at school teaching. I stared at the photos. My pregnant wife and my business partner, the man I'd trusted with my life's work, the man married to my daughter. The betrayal cut deeper than the poisoning. There's more, Steve said, opening another file. Hotel receipts going back 4 months. All paid for in cash, but the registration shows Ryan's name. They've been careful, but not careful enough. 4 months. Right when Rachel started making my protein shakes. Right when Ryan became my full partner. The paternity test results? I asked. Steve's face was grim. Ryan Collins is the biological father. 99.7% certainty. I sat there in that Starbucks parking lot, looking at photos of my wife's pregnant belly, carrying my son-in-law's child while slowly killing me with antifreeze. What's their endgame? I asked. Based on the timeline, they're planning your death before the baby's born. Rachel inherits your life insurance and personal assets. Ryan inherits your share of Martinez Construction through the partnership agreement. They disappear together with about $3.2 million total. The business I'd built from nothing. The legacy I'd planned to pass down to family. They were stealing it all while pretending to love me. That evening, I came home to find Rachel cooking dinner. My favorite meal, barbacoa tacos with homemade salsa. She was wearing the yellow dress I'd bought her for her birthday, the one that made her eyes sparkle. "How was work today, honey?" she asked, kissing my cheek. Her belly bumped against me, and for a moment I felt sick, thinking about whose child she carried. "Good day. The Morrison kitchen's almost finished. Ryan did great work on the tile installation." Her face didn't change at the mention of her lover's name. Just smiled and handed me a beer. "That's wonderful. Ryan's such a good addition to the team, and to our family." I forced a smile. "Yeah, he is." After dinner, I called my daughter Jennifer. She was grading papers at her kitchen table while her husband worked late, or so she thought. "Hey, Dad, how are you feeling? You looked tired at Sunday dinner." "I'm okay, sweetheart. Just wanted to hear your voice." We talked about her students, about her hopes for starting a family soon, about how happy she was with Ryan. Each word twisted the knife deeper. My daughter had no idea her husband was betraying her with her stepmother. "Dad, is everything all right? You sound strange." I wanted to tell her everything right then. Warn her about Ryan, expose the whole conspiracy. But I couldn't destroy her life over the phone. This had to be done right. "I'm fine, Jennifer. Just missing your mom lately. Some days the grief hits harder than others." "Oh, Dad, I know. I miss her too. But you have Rachel now, and the baby coming. Mom would want you to be happy, if she only knew." "You're right, sweetheart. I love you. Love you too, Dad." The next day, Steve showed me financial records that made everything clear. Ryan had been embezzling from Martinez Construction for 5 months. Small amounts at first, $500 here, $1,000 there, then bigger chunks as he got bolder. Total damage, $180,000. "He's been funneling money through fake vendor accounts," Steve explained. "Paying for the hotel rooms, jewelry for Rachel, even putting a down payment on a house in Tucson under an LLC he created. They'd planned their escape route, their new life together, built on my corpse and my life's work." "We have enough evidence now," Steve said. "Medical proof of poisoning, DNA evidence of paternity, financial records of embezzlement, surveillance photos of the affair. We called Detective Rodriguez today." "No," I said. "Not yet." Steve looked at me like I'd lost my mind. "Patrick, they're trying to kill you. Every day you wait is another day they might succeed. The Arizona Contractors Association dinner is in 10 days. 300 people from the construction industry will be there. Everyone who matters in Phoenix construction." I thought about Rachel and Ryan sitting at that dinner, playing the perfect family while plotting my murder. "I want to destroy them publicly, Steve, in front of everyone." Steve looked at me like I'd completely lost my mind. "Patrick, this isn't justice. This is revenge theater." "Steve, they've been planning my death for months. Smiling at me over dinner while poisoning my drinks. Having an affair while pregnant with a child they told me was mine." I met his eyes. "They deserve to be destroyed publicly." He was quiet for a long moment. "Okay. But we do this right. No vigilante justice. We coordinate with law, enforcement." That afternoon, we met with Detective Maria Rodriguez at Phoenix PD. She reviewed our evidence with the careful attention of someone who'd seen it all. Medical records, surveillance photos, financial statements, DNA results. "This is solid," she said finally. "Attempted murder, conspiracy, embezzlement, fraud. We can arrest them today." "I want to wait until the contractor's dinner," I said. 10 days. Detective Rodriguez frowned. "Mr. Martinez, every day you delay is dangerous. They could complete their plan. I've been avoiding the poison for 3 weeks. I can handle 10 more days. But I want them exposed in front of everyone who matters in this industry." She studied my face. You understand this isn't a guarantee they'll confess or break down dramatically. Real life isn't like the movies. I understand. I just want 300 witnesses to see them arrested for trying to kill me. Detective Rodriguez sighed. All right. But we do this exactly how I say. My officers, my timing, my operation. The next week crawled by. Every morning, Rachel made my protein shake with antifreeze. Every morning, I found creative ways to dispose of it. I started carrying a thermos of coffee to work, claiming I was trying to cut back on the shakes for my stomach. But honey, the protein is so good for you, Rachel protested, especially with the stress of the business transition. Doctor's orders? I lied. He thinks the protein powder might be causing some digestive issues. She didn't push it, but I caught her watching me more carefully. Meanwhile, I maintained my normal routine. Job sites, meetings with Ryan about the business transition, family dinners where I pretended everything was perfect. The hardest part was watching Jennifer and Ryan together. My daughter would touch his hand across the table, talk about their plans for children, beam with love for a man who was betraying her with her stepmother. You two seem happy, I said during one dinner, testing Ryan's reaction. He smiled and squeezed Jennifer's hand. Very happy, Dad. Jennifer's the best thing that ever happened to me. The lie came so easily. No guilt, no hesitation. He was a sociopath, just like Rachel. 3 days before the dinner, Jennifer came to my office at the construction company. She looked troubled. Dad, can I ask you something personal? My heart stopped. Had she discovered something? Of course, sweetheart. What's wrong? It's probably nothing, but has Ryan seemed different to you lately? More secretive? I kept my voice steady. Different how? He's been working late more often, getting phone calls he takes in private. Yesterday I found a receipt for flowers in his truck, but he never brought me flowers. She paused. I know it sounds paranoid, but this was it. My chance to tell her everything, to protect her before the public explosion. But looking at her face, still trusting, still hopeful, I couldn't destroy her world in my office. Jennifer, do you trust me? Of course I do. Then I need you to trust me for 3 more days. Can you do that? She looked confused but nodded. Okay, Dad. 3 days. The night of the contractor's dinner, I stood in my bedroom mirror, adjusting my tie. Rachel sat at her vanity, applying lipstick, radiant in a blue maternity dress. You look beautiful, I said, and meant it. Even knowing what she was still stunning. Thank you, honey. I'm so excited tonight. Your big speech as the outgoing board member. She turned to me, her eyes shining. I'm so proud of everything you've built, everything she was planning to steal. We arrived at the Phoenician Resort Ballroom at 7 p.m. 300 people from the Phoenix construction industry filled the elegant space. Contractors, suppliers, city officials, competitors, colleagues. People I'd known for decades. Ryan and Jennifer were already there, sitting at table 12 with other young couples from the industry. Ryan stood and shook my hand when we approached. Big night, Dad. Ready for your speech? Ready as I'll ever be. I'd been scheduled to give closing remarks about industry leadership and passing the torch to the next generation. Instead, I had different remarks prepared. Detective Rodriguez was stationed near the back exit with 4 officers in plain clothes. Steve Parker sat at table 8, recording everything on his phone. Rachel and I took our seats at the head table. During dinner, I watched Rachel laugh at jokes, network with the wives, play the perfect partner. Ryan worked the room like the future business owner he thought he'd become. They had no idea what was coming. At 9:15 p.m., the association president introduced me for my remarks. I walked to the podium carrying a folder instead of my prepared speech. The ballroom quieted. 300 faces turned toward me, expecting wisdom about construction excellence and industry values. Thank you all for being here tonight, I began. I want to talk about trust, about building something together, believing in people, investing in their future. Rachel smiled at me from the front row, her hands folded over her pregnant belly. 18 months ago, I remarried after losing my first wife to cancer. Rachel brought light back into my life. I paused, looking directly at her. Or so I thought. Her smile flickered slightly. 8 years ago, I made Ryan Collins my business partner. He worked his way up from foreman to my right hand. When he married my daughter Jennifer, I made him my successor. I looked at Ryan, whose face was starting to show concern. Last month, I discovered that for the past 16 weeks, they've been having an affair. The ballroom erupted in gasps and whispers. Rachel shot to her feet, her face white as paper. Ryan stood up from table 12, his mouth open in shock. "Patrick, what are you doing?" Rachel's voice carried across the silent room. I continued calmly. "The child my wife is carrying belongs to Ryan Collins, not me. DNA testing confirms 99.7% certainty." More gasps. Phones came out. Jennifer sat frozen at table 12, staring at her husband with a look I'll never forget. "But that's not the worst part," I said, my voice steady despite the chaos. "For the past 16 weeks, Rachel has been slowly poisoning me with antifreeze mixed into my morning protein shakes." The room went dead silent, except for someone's chair scraping as they stood up for a better view. My kidney function dropped 40% before my doctor caught it. Without treatment, I would have been dead within 8 weeks. I looked directly at Rachel. The same timeline as her due date. Rachel tried to speak, but no sound came out. Meanwhile, Ryan has embezzled $180,000 from Martinez Construction to finance their affair. Hotel rooms, jewelry, even a down payment on a house in Tucson where they plan to disappear together after collecting my life insurance. Ryan found his voice. "This is insane, Dad. I would never—" "Detective Rodriguez," I called out. "They're yours." The ballroom doors opened. Phoenix PD officers entered with Detective Rodriguez, leading. The crowd parted like water as they moved toward the head table. "Rachel Martinez, Ryan Collins, you're under arrest for conspiracy to commit murder, attempted murder, and embezzlement." Rachel collapsed back into her chair as they cuffed her. Ryan tried to run, but made it maybe 10 feet before 2 officers tackled him near the dessert table. As they led my wife and son-in-law away in handcuffs, 300 construction industry professionals recorded everything on their phones. Their reputations were destroyed forever. Jennifer stood at table 12, tears streaming down her face, watching her husband arrested for trying to kill her father. She caught my eye across the chaos and mouthed, "I'm sorry, Dad." I mouthed back, "Not your fault, sweetheart." The trial lasted 4 months. The evidence was overwhelming. Medical records proving systematic antifreeze poisoning, surveillance photos of the affair, DNA results showing Ryan's paternity, financial records documenting the embezzlement, recorded phone calls between Rachel and Ryan planning their escape to Tucson. Rachel's defense attorney tried every angle, claimed she was being manipulated by Ryan, argued the antifreeze was accidental contamination, even suggested I was poisoning myself for insurance fraud. Nothing worked. The prosecution painted a clear picture. Rachel and Ryan had planned my murder to inherit my assets and disappear together with their child. The jury deliberated for 3 hours. On the charge of conspiracy to commit murder, we find the defendant, Rachel Martinez, guilty. On the charge of attempted murder, we find the defendant, Rachel Martinez, guilty. On the charge of conspiracy to commit fraud, we find the defendant, Ryan Collins, guilty. On the charge of embezzlement, we find the defendant, Ryan Collins, guilty. Rachel got 15 years federal prison for attempted murder and conspiracy. Ryan got 8 years plus full restitution for embezzlement and his role in the murder plot. Neither showed any remorse during sentencing. The baby was born 6 weeks after Rachel's conviction. A healthy boy who'll be raised by Ryan's parents while his biological parents serve their sentences. Jennifer divorced Ryan immediately and went back to her maiden name. The construction industry response was swift and brutal. Every contractor in Phoenix heard about the arrests within 24 hours. Martinez Construction's reputation was damaged, but not destroyed. People understood I was the victim, not the perpetrator. Still, I decided to sell the company rather than rebuild from the scandal. 6 months after the trial, my health had fully recovered. Dr. Wells pronounced my kidney function completely normal. No permanent damage from the antifreeze poisoning. Jennifer moved back in with me while she rebuilt her life. We grew closer than we'd ever been, bonded by surviving betrayal together. She started seeing a therapist, working through the trauma of discovering her husband's affair and murder conspiracy. "Dad, how did you know?" she asked one evening over dinner. "What made you suspicious?" "Honestly, I didn't know anything until Dr. Wells found the antifreeze in my blood. But once I knew someone was trying to kill me, the pieces fell together pretty quickly. The timing of everything, the life insurance, Ryan's sudden interest in taking over the business completely. Your mom always said trust your gut instincts." Jennifer smiled sadly. "I miss her." "Me too, sweetheart. But she'd be proud of how strong you've been through all this." A year after the arrests, I started dating again. Patricia owns an art gallery in Old Town Scottsdale. She's 56, age-appropriate, and makes her own protein shakes. We take things slow, both of us having learned the hard way that trust needs to be earned over time. I also started a new business, Martinez Security Consulting. I help small business owners protect themselves from embezzlement and fraud. The Phoenix construction industry refers clients to me regularly. Turns out being the victim of a highly publicized conspiracy makes people trust your advice about avoiding similar situations. Jennifer got promoted to assistant principal at her elementary school. She's dating a teacher named David, who's closer to her age and has never asked her father for business loans. She's happy, which makes me happy. The house in Scottsdale felt too big and too full of memories after everything that happened. I sold it and bought a smaller place in Paradise Valley with a view of Camelback Mountain. Clean slate, fresh start. Last month, I ran into one of Rachel's former friends at the grocery store. She told me Rachel had been asking other people for money before we met, always with sob stories about needing help. Apparently, I wasn't her first target, just the most successful one. I don't lose sleep over Rachel and Ryan anymore. They made their choices. They gambled with my life for money and lost everything: their freedom, their reputations, their futures. Meanwhile, I'm alive, healthy, and surrounded by people who genuinely care about me. The Phoenix construction industry still talks about that dinner. The night Patrick Martinez exposed his wife has become legend. People use it as a cautionary tale about trust and verification, about watching for red flags, about protecting yourself even in intimate relationships. Jennifer asked me recently if I regret the public exposure, if I wish I'd handled it quietly through the police. "No," I told her. "They tried to destroy me in the dark while smiling to my face. I destroyed them in the light, in front of everyone who mattered. That's justice." I'm sharing this story because I want other men my age to understand something important. When someone shows you who they really are, believe them immediately. Don't explain away red flags or give people the benefit of the doubt when your instincts are screaming warnings. Trust is earned through consistent actions over time, not through beautiful words and loving gestures that can be faked. Sometimes the most devastating betrayals come from the people closest to you, wearing the masks of love while planning your destruction. But when you expose evil to the light, it burns everything the betrayers have built in the darkness.